Hi, this is Ofoy Murray, the digital reader, and the DRM-free publisher I'm going to be showing you today is Watkins Media. Watkins Media is basically a big publishing arm, and they have 4 imprints that they have different types of books in. 2 of the imprints I couldn't care less about, but there are 2 of the imprints that I am interested in. So this is Watkins Media. This is a UK-based publishing house, and they have 5 imprints, but one of the imprints is no longer in business, and that's Nourish Books. Nourish Books is no longer a thing, so if I click Nourish Books, I just basically get an error, there's no website. Watkins Publishing, their main imprint, basically has self-help, business and personal development, ancient wisdom, holistic living, and esoteric knowledge. I'll just take a quick peek at that because it's not my jam, but you know, self-obsession, the sensory herbal oracle, the true and the eternal, 5 weeks to gut health. You kind of get the gist. So that is their main imprint, Watkins Publishing. Then they have Angry Robot Books, which is the one I'm going to go into and buy a book, and which is my favorite of their imprints. They have Repeater Books, which is basically left-wing, overturn the system, you know, social justice type stuff. So take a quick peek just so you can kind of see what they're going with. Against Ambition, Death, Drugs, and Eva Hess, Seeking Attention, The Gardener, Visionary Growers and Farmers of the Counterculture, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot. So this is a whole bunch of hippie stuff, jazz, free jazz, and all that kind of stuff. Once again, not my cup of tea, but it definitely could be of interest to some people. And then they have Datura Books, which I also might buy a couple books from, and this is definitely could be of interest to me, and that's because Datura Books is their crime, detective, and mystery imprint. So they have a bunch of crime, detective, and mystery books, and a lot of them are going to be set in the UK because remember, this is a UK publishing house, so that might be a benefit or minus to you depending on how you feel about it. But the imprint that I'm going to be going with, the one that I'm excited about, is Angry Robot Books. Because, you know, every time I do one of these, I go in and I buy a book so you can see the experience. So I'm going to be going into the Angry Robots imprint. And that's because the Angry Robots imprint specializes in science fiction, fantasy, horror, and then just random fiction subjects which lean towards science fiction, fantasy, and horror. They even have a what the F genre, which is basically just books about stuff that they felt was too original to fit in a particular genre. So, for example, swashbucklers. When Cisco Collins returns to his hometown 30 years after saving it from being swallowed by a hellmouth opened by an ancient pirate ghost, he realizes that being a childhood hero isn't like it was in the movies, especially when nobody remembers the heroic bits, even the friends who once fought alongside him. This kind of sounds like a Stranger Things type book, but maybe 10 or 15 years later. So they're 100% right. What genre? I would say fantasy is where I would put this, and that's kind of where they say file under fantasy. So they have some really, really interesting books in the Angry Robot catalog. I think I'm probably just gonna go with superheroes because I love superheroes, and since they have this own genre, hopefully it's got a decent representation. 9 books, not too bad. Looking at these books, I think I'm just going to jump to 7 Wonders. See what that's about. Tony Prostacimi lives in the bustling metropolis of San Ventura, a city gripped in fear, a city under siege by the hooded supervillain the Cowl. When Tony develops superpowers and acts to take down the Cowl, however, he finds that the local superhero team's 7 Wonders aren't as grateful as he assumed they'd be. This is definitely going to be a buy for me. I can click here. You can see paperback or ebook. And it's currently £3.99, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my cart. Seven Wonders has been added to my cart. I'm going to go to my cart. And they give me some other options I might be interested in. But I'm going to go ahead and proceed to checkout. And you know I love me some PayPal. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed to PayPal and pay for this book. And the book's been paid for. It's getting ready to direct me back to Watkins Media. I'll just click here and get ahead of the game. Now, typically, when I buy from these ebook sellers, I find that if I try to go right into my account and download the book, it usually doesn't work immediately. I have to wait a couple minutes. But if I go to my email and then get the book from my email, it usually works right away. So I'm going to my email, going to their download link. Look at that, it's emailing right away. And I'm going to go ahead and let that download. And once it does, I'm going to pull that up on my computer. They gave it to me in a zip file, so I will double click and open the zip. And one very cool thing is they give it to you in a MOBI file and in an EPUB file. That's very useful, especially for you ex-Kindle users or even current Kindle users. If you get a book in a MOBI file, that means you do not have to use Send to Kindle to read it on your Kindle. You can literally just plug your Kindle into a computer and drag the MOBI file onto your Kindle, because the Kindle can read MOBI files natively. So that's pretty cool. And if you want, you can also definitely go use EPUBs too. I mean, if you're using Calibri or something like that, you can actually put both files on there and it'll keep both files. So I'm going to jump into Calibri and I'm going to go ahead and add this book to my Calibri library. And bada bing, let's pop that puppy open real quick, see what's going on in there. And there you go, DRM-free. So this is Watkins Media Publishing. They have their 4 imprints: Watkins Publishing, Angry Robot Books, Repeater Books, and Datura Books. And I just found out that Watkins Media Publishing Imprints actually has another group of imprints that I completely missed when I started this video. So what I did is I scrolled down and I looked at their main imprints, but I thought this was the end of the web page. But if you scroll down some more, they have another imprint called Collective Ink Books, and they have a whole bunch of little publishers within them. So I'll just go over those real quick so you can see what kind of books that they have. IFF Books. IFF Books publishes nonfiction. It aims to work with authors and titles that augment our understanding of the human condition, society, and civilization, and the world or universe in which we live. Here are some of their titles. And ChangMakers. So ChangMaker Books is mostly self-help books. Liberalis Books is liberal arts, education, and storytelling. Some of their books. And then Chronos Books. It's history. I'm not going to go too deep into that. History is history. So these are history books. Moon books is Paganism and Shamanism. Okay, you do you. And these are their books. And then Zero books, Culture, Society, and Politics. And let's see what they got. And they have O books, which is spirituality. Roundfire books. Put simply, we publish great stories, whether it's literary or popular, a gentle tale or pulsating thriller. The connecting themes in all Roundfire fiction titles is that once you pick them up, you won't want to put them down. So Roundfire is basically fiction books. And street books, fiction, nonfiction, and parenting. So interesting combination, but I guess nonfiction and parenting, maybe go together. So these are basically parenting books, kids books, things like that. And circle books are Christian books, the Christian faith. Mantra books, Eastern religion and philosophy. Sixth books are all things paranormal. And then they have business books, fresh thinking for the business world. So that's Collective Ink Books. Once you visit Watkins Media, just make sure that once you get to their 5 main imprints and you think you're at the end, just keep going and you'll get to Collective Ink Books, which is a whole bunch of other books about different subjects that's all still under the Watkins Media title. So thanks for being patient through this extra add-on. This is Ofori, the digital reader again.